One night in 1912, luxury turned to tragedy. This is the story of how the Titanic, the ship they called unsinkable, disappeared beneath the icy Atlantic, a tale that has captivated the world for over a century. Picture this. April 10, 1912, the RMS Titanic, the largest and most luxurious ship ever built, is ready for its maiden voyage from Southampton, England, to New York City. On board are some of the wealthiest people in the world, alongside hundreds of immigrants dreaming of a new life in America. The ship itself was a marvel of modern engineering. It had a double-bottomed hull and was divided into 16 watertight compartments. The builders boasted that even if 4 of these compartments flooded, the ship would still stay afloat. It seemed invincible, a floating palace of dreams and aspirations. For the first few days, the journey was a dream. The weather was clear, the sea was calm, and passengers enjoyed the ship's incredible amenities: the grand staircase, the swimming pool, the Turkish baths, and the elegant dining rooms. Everything was perfect. But deep in the North Atlantic, a silent killer was drifting south. A massive iceberg, calved from the glaciers of Greenland. On the night of April 14th, the sea was unusually calm, like a sheet of black glass, which ironically made it harder to spot icebergs because there were no waves breaking against them. The lookouts in the Crow's Nest, Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee, had no binoculars. The ship's officers knew there was ice in the area. They had received multiple warnings from other ships throughout the day, but the Titanic steamed ahead at a brisk 22 knots, trying to make good time on its voyage. At 11:40 p.m., the lookout Frederick Fleet spotted it, a dark mass dead ahead. He rang the warning bell 3 times and telephoned the bridge, shouting the chilling words, "Iceberg right ahead." First Officer William Murdoch immediately ordered the ship to be turned hard to port and the engines reversed. A maneuver that took agonizing seconds to execute, but it was too late. The massive liner couldn't turn fast enough. The iceberg scraped along the starboard side of the hull, not with a massive crash, but with a subtle, grinding shudder that many passengers barely even noticed. Below the waterline, however, the damage was catastrophic. The iceberg had punched holes and buckled steel plates along a 300-foot stretch, breaching 6 of the 16 watertight compartments. The unsinkable ship was now mortally wounded. Initially, there was a strange sense of calm. Many passengers didn't believe the ship was in serious trouble. But as the bow began to dip noticeably into the freezing water, a quiet sense of unease turned to dawning horror. The crew started preparing the lifeboats, and it was then that the second fatal flaw of the Titanic became terrifyingly clear. There weren't enough lifeboats for everyone. The ship was legally equipped with enough boats for just over 1,100 people, but there were more than 2,200 souls on board. The evacuation was chaotic. The women and children first policy was followed, but inconsistently. Some lifeboats were launched half empty, while hundreds were left behind on the slanting decks. The ship's band, led by Wallace Hartley, famously played on their calm, beautiful music, a surreal soundtrack to the unfolding disaster. Their final song, as remembered by survivors, was Nearer, My God, to Thee, at 2:20 a.m. on April 15th, just 2 hours and 40 minutes after hitting the iceberg. The Titanic's final moments arrived. The stern rose high out of the water, silhouetted against the star-filled sky. The lights flickered one last time and then went out, plunging the scene into darkness. Then, with a deafening roar of groaning metal and crashing machinery, the ship broke in two and slipped beneath the waves. Over 1,500 people were now in the water, which was a bone-chilling -2 degrees Celsius. For most, survival was impossible. The rescue ship, the Carpathia, arrived about an hour and a half later, but by then only the 706 people in the lifeboats were left to be saved. The sinking of the Titanic sent shockwaves around the world. It was a tragedy born from a combination of overconfidence, ignored warnings, and a fatal lack of preparation. It shattered the illusion of technological invincibility and led to major maritime safety reforms. Like the requirement for enough lifeboats for everyone on board and the establishment of the International Ice Patrol, the story of the Titanic endures not just as a historical event, but as a powerful human drama of courage, sacrifice, and loss. It's a humbling reminder that even our greatest achievements are vulnerable to the forces of nature. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most compelling events. See you next time.